Today I'm going to be talking about the future of crypto being AI. I've been in crypto for about a decade now, lost lots and lots of money, as I'm sure many of you have. Made some, lost some. As mentioned previously, I was CEO of Stability AI. We tried to compete with OpenAI, did okay, had about 300 million model downloads, millions of developers, 500,000 community members, and we ran 10,000 A100s. To put that in context, that's about 20 times the compute of NASA. Of course, things have got a bit crazier now, and the compute's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And earlier this year, I looked at that and I was like, do I raise another few billion and compete, or do I try something different? What really matters, and where are we in an AI future? And that's what I'll be talking about today. This is the number of earnings transcripts on AI versus blockchain. So it's clear that there's something with AI, but what is the intersection between the two? Is there any? Why do we need it? And will that make an impact? I think the first thing I'd like to say is, many of you who are crypto experts, aficionados, AI is really tough. This is the number of papers on AI every single month. It's a literal exponential. We had to build an AI to read the papers on AI. In fact, some of you might want to try, Google has this amazing new thing, Notebook LM. You can drop the Bitcoin white paper or an incredibly complicated one, like eigenlayer on intersubjectivity, and it will generate a podcast of two people talking about the paper. And it's pretty amazing. It's what I do when I wake up in the mornings to try and feel smart now. But I'd say that AI time is probably about 3 times crypto time in terms of speed, and it's tough to keep on top of. But there's some interesting things happening. You can see the massive investment, mooning, $200 billion of compute investment coming in. Reminds you a bit of the Bitcoin boom on compute. But what that's enabling is now models that are hitting human-level performance. This is the test score of AI systems on various types of reading, image, language, understanding, and others. We've reached a tipping point where really they're as good as a sleep-deprived PhD student. Like, they've got no memory, they're a bit weird, but they can do most of these things narrowly as well. They have goldfish memory, but things like that will be solved. As an example of that, we built a system at Stability called Comfy UI, whereby rather than having an image type in and it generates something, you could have entire streams of nodes that captured every single image and data source and model and choice you made. And if I shared that with you on a music or video or otherwise basis, it reconstructs the whole flow. This is one of the things we wrote about in a piece we released recently, how to think about AI. We're going to move from files to flows. We're going to have memory in these systems, state. And then they become agentic and do really interesting things for us, like make videos, do our crypto taxes. In fact, that's a great startup. I'll invest in that if anyone is doing that. Crypto tax AI, please. It's too much hassle. But these AIs are also getting really engaging. An example of this is a chart on medical LMs. Medical language models now outperform human doctors not only on diagnosis, but empathy. And they're getting really, really convincing. So the question, who's building these AIs? What does it look like? Because those defaults become important. If Meta, how many of you really trust Meta, are building it? If you ask about Elon Musk, it doesn't say nice things. You ask about Zuckerberg, it says fantastic things. This will be more and more important, and we're seeing an emergence of this parallel to not your keys, not your crypto, and again, I've lost many keys over the years, need AI to help with that, to not your models, not your mind. And when we think about how the world is and where the state of AI is and about to go, this will become incredibly important. This is one of my favorite, slightly surprising charts. This is global IQ by country. Now, humans are actually all about the same IQ when you normalize, but this is an infrastructure question. Some of you might have seen the energy to GDP per capita thing. That's a bit crazy, right? But 98% of people believe they have an above average IQ, So hopefully, one of the 2%. This is OpenAI's new model, O1. Has 120 IQ. PhD level science, top 500 maths Olympiad. What does the world look like when everyone has an AI? That's really interesting, and I think, again, this is indicative of what the future of crypto may be. Now, the IQ of the audience and the people here, I'm not sure, we're assuming that we're probably top quartile. But where is this intersection between them? What are blockchains useful and good for? For me, blockchains have 3 key characteristics: verification, coordination, and resilience. But smart contracts are dumb. Crypto's full of corruption. How many times have you been rugged or attacked? How much money has been lost there? Crypto lacks coordination. How many side events are here? My God. You know, like, you keep going to, I've had like 18 talks this week. Let's do something there. When I think about crypto, what is it really about? It's about agency. Some of you may have read the Sovereign Individual. It's about self-sovereignty. I have control. I have not to rely on any intermediate. I shouldn't have to trust the system. The system should be incorruptible. This is the promise of Bitcoin, where you do own your keys, you own that. But as we evolve from that, we have all these different systems that led to rugs, led to a corruptible system, led to misalignment. Originally, when we launched Stability, Stability was meant to be a DAO of DAOs based on our communities, but I was like, there's not much intelligence in DAOs. We should probably build it first and think about new ways to do things. One of the key elements of crypto and transactions, stepping from the Bitcoin white paper, is self-sovereign identity. Again, you don't know anyone and need any intermediate to transact in Bitcoin. This is why, as the previous panel said, it's such a great hedge against global disruption. Even BlackRock and others are saying that. What we need now, though, is self-sovereign intelligence. Because these AIs will be representing us, because to be honest, they're smarter than us, particularly when we haven't had our coffee in the mornings, And they don't sleep, and they're super executors before they get to super intelligence. This is happening at a time whereby there is this great open source, closed source debate. At Stability, we built state-of-the-art models in every modality except for language. But even the language models are catching up now. Because how much better than the data sets can you make the model? So I think the gap will close, and again, at Schelling, we'll do our part for that, and I'll talk about that later. The cost of compute to generate an intelligent outcome is also decreasing. Something like Gemini Flash is 7 cents for 1,000,000 words. And again, that can take your podcast, and it can generate, your tape and generate a podcast out of it. This is GPT-4 level intelligence. It's a straight line almost down as you get improvements in data, in inference quality, and everything. We need to move to a future where you own your data, you own your model, you own your intelligence, because that's super important. And again, this is where the self-sovereignty comes in, because not your keys, not your crypto, not your models, not your mind. And who decides the AI that runs your government, that teaches your kids, that they trust more than anyone? So here's wonderful Sam Altman. If I weren't in on this, I'd be like, why do these fuckers get to decide what happened to me? Where is the governance of AI, and who's deciding the AI that will intermediate our lives? Who's building the AI to take the promise of Web3 and take it forward, given that it is open and available? You can download Stable Diffusion permissionlessly, Llama permissionlessly. What does that look like? Again, we're talking about intelligent verification, coordination, and resilience. The promise of Web3 is now finally achievable through this technology. Why? What is Web3 and how do we have it right now? There's not much intelligence in there. Again, smart contracts are dumb. They don't always do what we say. Code is not audited. The Rails, we have MEV bots front-running us all the time. And then we've got the real-world rugs and other things occurring. With intelligence moving to the edge, everyone now has the capability to have AI defending themselves. Again, Vitalik and I did something like DAC, defensive acceleration. You have AI looking out for you on every single transaction, an AI intermediating every single transaction, and verifying who you're working with. We can build the standard into smart contracts to turn them intelligent. And that's a massive difference, because ultimately what we want is aligned intelligence, aligned AI, aligned contracts. I want to do something, and I want to do it in a trustless way. You can do that through edge intelligence. You can do that through AIs that are transparent, that balance markets. You probably can't do that with black boxes, because the black boxes can route any knowledge any way you want. That was the issue with Web 2. So we can't have centralized artificial intelligence that enables that. We need intelligent coordination. Many of you have seen the emergence of AVSs, roll-ups, and others. But what are they? They are contextual transaction sidechains. So when you run on Base, it's optimized for financial services. But then how do you bridge between one chain and another? Those are the key areas where you tend to have massive losses, or when you're bridging between the real world and the digital world. Now with AI, you'll have AI agents that can manage your capital, that are aligned with you, that you own, that you pay in gas, which is basically compute, that can execute transactions across domains, across areas. This is something that won't occur with the centralized systems like OpenAI and others. They are walled gardens, which means that people won't be able to put their own data forward. And now we're seeing the emergence of data DAOs. We're seeing the emergence of coordination rails that agents can go across. Because will agents actually have bank accounts? Probably not. They will transact in crypto of some form or another because they can transact faster than any human, and they can transact intelligently. This intelligence increase, both on an individual level, again, remember the IQ going up, we can probably increase global IQ by 10, 20 points, which will be super exciting. And the intelligence within crypto, it'll be non-negotiable. Will you use a chain that doesn't have AI-audited smart contracts? You think about intents now, they're very basic. But again, all the transactions you do in a crypto sense, they're all ideal for agents. And again, who owns that agent? Is it someone else or is it you? You need that self-sovereign intelligence that's aligned with you, that works forward. You need the common rails that it can go and transpose upon. That's our distributed ledger system. And then you need resilience. Okay, it's not great when chains go down, you know? Let's face it. But what makes chains go down? Right now, a lot of the issues with blockchain is that they don't scale because you run on a certain level of nodes and you have inadequate redundancy or too much redundancy. How much security is required for a transaction? Again, you have a lot of things like Eigenlayer and others looking at that. We finally have the ability to do intelligent, customized data, intelligent, customized pricing. In the future, for example, you will have a medical AI that gives you all the knowledge you could possibly want on cancer and outperforms the human doctor on empathy when someone in your family gets cancer, God forbid. That's a massive difference, and it's something that the medical system can't do now because doctors aren't that empathetic and they don't have that access. On the financial side, everyone will have access to the best financial advisors because, again, we can embed that in a model of just a few gigabytes big. What does that mean for resilience and scalability? It means that our nodes and our agents on the edge and in the cloud turn intelligent so we can actually scale seamlessly. When you try and take people, a team of 10, and you scale it to 200, what happens? Developers in this room? You can't birth a baby in less than 9 months by adding more and more women, right? You can't program better. It's Metcalfe's law, it's a scaling thing. But what we're seeing now with AI is that you can do that. And this shows us something with regards to resilience and scaling, where you can have defensive capabilities in AI and intelligent scaling of AI. This is what enabled OpenAI to have that leap to O1, the new generation of models. I suppose if I kind of go back quickly, can I jump? Just reminding people of this. The big breakthrough has been going from these very basic AIs that, again, have goldfish memories to more agentic agent-based AIs. What does that mean? It means that when you're responding and interacting with Stable Diffusion or ChatGPT, it doesn't remember and have continuous learning. You can't send it away and then it will go and do something new. The next generation of AIs has what's known as inference time compute. You just let it spend longer on the GPU, and then it comes back with better answers, and then we see an almost linear scaling curve with that. Previously, the only way to do that was to put stuff into these giant supercomputers, again, bigger than NASA or anything, and then that scaled linearly with that. But if you asked it longer, it wouldn't give you a better result. Everyone will be moving to the right, including open source AI. And this unlocks the promise, for example, of decentralized AI, or DePIN, as we see it right now. So I'm on the board of Render. There's 1 million GPUs there. Utilization is low because, A, you've got to build the infrastructure, but B, we're waiting for this. Because then you don't need giant supercomputers anymore. What you need is high-quality basic models that can then become more and more intelligent by going away and doing the work and checking each other's answers. Swarms of intelligence. And this is where you bring in the resilience, because AIs can scale where humans can't scale. Because AIs don't have politics, unless you ask them to, you know? AIs do not have communication issues. They can understand each other, particularly when we have common rails. And this is where decentralized AI and distributed systems, I think, are incredibly interesting. So you can move to more robust systems. You can move to systems where AI can check every transaction and work for you. And again, I can't see how that isn't the future of AI and the future of agency, whereby we can address all of these right now. Now, what does the system look like and the ecosystem look like for that? There are many amazing smart people now entering this area because they've seen the issues with centralized AI and they don't want it controlled. So for example, when OpenAI released DALL-E 2 before we released Stable Diffusion a couple of months before, they banned all Ukrainians and Ukrainian content from it. Why? Because they could. What happens if someone turns off your intelligence? You lose IQ points. Do you really want to live in a world like that? No. But this upgrade is a complicated upgrade where you have various different elements and parts of that. So what we're doing is Schelling is we're trying to increase the average intelligence of humanity. So when we released Stable Diffusion, we were like, the world's going to get more creative and happier. We took 100,000 gigabytes of images, and it's a 2 gigabyte file that will run on your smartphone. You can download Draw Things on iOS, and it just runs, and it can make any image. How crazy is that, right? And we're like, the world will get a bit weirder, but that's OK. A bit of weird is OK, you know? Now we think about the future. Who's going to build the AI that, again, teaches your kids, runs your medical system, runs your government, financial system? That's what we're focusing on. But we realized that this couldn't be classical infrastructure. This is actual infrastructure. So Vitalik Buterin has a great post about the revenue evil curve. What happens typically as you build these systems is you restrict access to try and extract value from them. And that leads to misalignment. It leads to it closing up. This is why OpenAI and others are trying to put regulatory hurdles over all of this. I believe that our communal knowledge on cancer, autism, multiple sclerosis education should be a common good. But the question is, how do we fund that? How do we adapt to that? Because it's expensive. A model training run might cost $100 million now. That's how much GPT-4 cost, or the new OpenAI model. And can you scale to that? When looking across the space, I realized that we have one of the best examples of that in Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently uses 160 terawatt hours of energy on specialist compute. All the data centers in the world use 360 terawatt hours. That's the level of specialist infrastructure that we've managed to do for sound money. And that's amazing, I think. And again, we've proved it with crypto that crypto incentives work. What do we need to build models that mean that no one's ever alone again on their cancer, dementia, autism journey? That allows us to put AI agents to organize all that knowledge and put it at your fingertips, or have a self-learning education system for every child across the world. We need compute. Now, there are negative externalities from this as well, in that why would you hire a graduate anymore for many jobs? I mean, they typically are a bit whiny and annoying, you know, and AI programmers just as good. But then, as we move to a post-labor monetary economy system, what does money look like? I think it has to be related to compute. So when we looked at that, we were like, why don't we put supercomputers in every nation, owned by the people of every nation, to build the data sets of every nation? Because Malaysians should decide who educates Malaysians, as should Slovenians, as should people in Bangladesh. That has to be an end state. The medical system of each of these countries will go from using this much intelligence to that much intelligence. Why don't we use that to secure a next-generation intelligent currency and use the intelligence to build a better and better financial system that's distributed? So at Schelling, that's what we're doing. We're building these models for the common knowledge of humanity that you can then take permissionlessly, we'll distribute them by torrent or whatever, and integrate locally. As we upgrade the intelligence of individuals in our systems, that can then be used to secure the currency of the future. And then we need to figure out, what does a monetary economy look like when almost all knowledge work can be automated? Even with robots, check out the Unitary G1, $16,000. It can read a recipe and execute it flawlessly. It can also run at 6 miles per hour, which is a bit worrying. Maybe we should make it run a bit slower than humans, you know? But it'll be $1 an hour in a few years for an AI robot that can do just about everything. This is coming fast, even as the economic system, as the last panel said, is declining. And so we need this common infrastructure. We need to build good standards, and we've only got a short window to do this. But if we manage to do that, we'll have self-sovereign identity go into self-sovereign intelligence. We'll increase the overall ability and intelligence of humanity. I think that's super exciting. When we started Web3, you know, there was no deadline for this. There was no urgency. Now, governments around the world want this technology. People want this technology, and they'll need this technology to catch up. And this is the last stage before it goes everywhere, because, again, we've given these models memory now. We've moved to be able to have inference time edge compute, so you don't need the large supercompute clusters. We need high-quality base models, and we need to collate that. And again, that's what we'll do. And we look forward to working with everyone around that to build a better less corruptible system, one where you own your data, model, and intelligence, one where, this is solved. Intelligent verification, coordinated resilience, no more rugs, Let's make that happen. Let's have that system that we all deserve for us and the next generation, and navigate this next period to have abundance. So please, come and join us at Schelling AI for updates. We'll have lots more soon. And thank you all for listening.